Hey, welcome. It's Brian, and today we are going to talk about Guitar World again and a list from 2023. This is a issue that came out, I believe, for January of 2024, but they are talking about the previous year, of course, and that, of course, has Wolfgang Van Halen on the front. And in here is a lot of kind of pretty fun stuff to check out. But they are talking about the best players from 2023, and I thought that'd be kind of fun to do. I hear a lot of talk about lists are boring or they're subjective and or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, that's the fun part about them. For me, I love lists, whether it's for myself or watching other people do lists and kind of their opinions or whatever. So, with Guitar World, they seem to do a list. I just recently did a video, and that was from literally a year ago today. That actual issue came out, and they talked about quite a few people, and that was, of course, in response to the Rolling Stone Top 250, a video that I got quite a bit of traction with, and I kind of just did a bunch of others from Guitar World because I thought that was pretty fun to kind of see where they're at. I am not on the cutting edge of every great guitar player. On this channel, I try to do a lot of different players, but for the most part, they're pretty technical or really interesting or unique or whatever. So I don't know every young player. And so I thought, let's do this list and see what you think, and let's see what I think, because I have not even read the magazine yet. Number one is Nuno Bettencourt. Quite a long little, there's not much writing there, but they kind of go into some depth, I think, talking about the year. And it has been a huge year for him, for sure. With Rise coming out and the new record, those guys are back in the limelight. And how many people did videos on Nuno bringing guitar back to the forefront? I think that's slightly not correct, but I'm glad it's more of that traditional shredding kind of guitar that I love and many other people love too. But there's lots of amazing players out there doing tons of great work that aren't necessarily a typical shredder. So I love that he's on it. I love that he's in it. I'm super happy that old guys get a chance occasionally. Kidding. And yeah, Nuno Bettencourt. Couldn't agree more. They also mentioned Wolfgang Van Halen, and yeah, solid songwriter. I can't say I've heard the songs that much, but he seems like an incredible guitar player. So anytime someone can handle a guitar and really make it work, and he obviously has amazing technique, and I'm sure as a songwriter, where he is at now, he'll just kind of continue to grow. And what I really like about him is when he talks about music, he is talking about modern players that are technical or not, but he talks about Aaron Marshall from Intervals. He talks, like he mentions in this magazine, I think, his favorite record, and they go through quite a few great guitar players, and they talk about their highlights of the year or riff of the year, record of the year, that kind of deal. So he mentions him, and I agree, a great guitar player. They also have in here Josh Klinghoffer from Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I don't know where he is now. He got essentially fired from them, right? I don't know if that was this year or the previous year. Can't say I know anything about him outside of maybe knowing he was in the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so I'm going to say he's good. Andrew Watt. No idea who that is. It says here he did something on Ozzy's 2020 release, Ordinary Man. Can't say I've heard that. Another mention here is the Rolling Stones. No idea. I mean, they're around, and that's good. I'm glad they're still doing their thing. I think Ron Wood. Keith's a great songwriter. You can't argue with the numbers, so to speak, and the longevity of the band. But I have seen Ron Wood on some videos of concerts do some pretty great stuff. I was really blown away by some. In the bluesy rock kind of arena for sure. But I was like, man, that guy's the best guitar player that was ever in the band. Although some would maybe say Mick Taylor, who I definitely liked, and I only happened. He's the only Rolling Stone I actually saw, Mick Taylor, and he was opening or playing with who it was a Black Sabbath show and Alvin Lee's band. I think he was in Alvin Lee's band or something, and I would have been in the 80s, like early 80, 81, 82. And I think they were opening for Black Sabbath or something like that. And that was a time where I just heard this talked about, maybe it was Rick Beato talking about how in the 70s and 80s you would get fusion bands opening for rock bands and vice versa, and there was prog bands opening for all sorts of stuff. And the you kind of get that now, but the festivals are so huge, it's hard to see it all or whatever. There's like almost too much variety, where this would be like a show at your bigger venues where there'd be some cool openers that you'd want to see or would kind of turn your ear or whatever. So anyway, I that's I can't say that happened a lot as far as when I went to see shows. I can't say I saw a lot of shows in the 80s, a lot of Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, kind of that the heavy metal kind of stuff, and then quickly moved on to kind of fusion stuff and prog rock stuff as far as seeing King Crimson, Yes, Chick Corea, Scott Henderson, all the kind of fusion bands that were big then. I tried to see. So anyway, next person on the list is John Five. John Five is a great guitar player. He does a lot of stuff. He's always out there, whether he's, I think he's now the Motley Crue guitar player. I don't really give a shit about Motley Crue or whatever, but I think he's a great player. He obviously is really able to kind of meld himself into the band and kind of do whatever techniques are necessary, whether it's kind of a country thing or kind of a more of a hard rock thing or whatever. He definitely has the chops and kind of the maturity to kind of play for the song and the band. So that way, I'm assuming he works so much. I can say, though, that I've never heard any of his solo stuff outside of what you might see on, like an Instagram short or something, a couple minutes of him soloing with no context. So that's all I know about him. Seems like he's got a lot of technique and a great player with a lot of imagination. Next is Corey Wong, who's a great kind of funk rhythm guy. Again, not someone I listen to really, but I can definitely say what I have heard is in those short little bits that we all kind of love. Some really great rhythm stuff. Next is Sophie Lloyd. No idea who that is, so I can't really speak to that. Next is Nita Strauss, who is, I see her in magazines. She gets mentioned a lot. Is she Alice Cooper? I was going to say, yeah, she's been in some other kind of pop stuff, and I'm sure she's great. I assume she's super professional and has some chops and all of that. Sophie Lloyd, just going back quickly, she is with Machine Gun Kelly, and I don't know anything about her. I'm sure she's good if she's kind of in this magazine and has gotten some noticed. Next is Zakk Wylde. Why exactly he's in here, I'm not sure for 2023, except maybe the Pantera reunion thing. Do I think Zach's a great guitar player? Hell yeah. Do I love his playing? For the most part, yeah. He was really integral in part of Ozzy kind of bridging the gap, kind of coming out of the Randy and Jakey Lee years. He kind of, as far as songwriting, kind of trimmed it down, made it a lot more accessible, but still heavy with lots of solos. And he loves Randy, and every time he plays an older Blizzard of Oz tune from the first two records that Randy was on, he tries to do it note for note. And I really respect someone that loves Randy that much, that he's not trying to throw in all this stuff all the time. I'm sure he does a little bit, but from what I can see, he plays, he honors the solos and the songs the way they were recorded. So next is Buddy Guy. And yeah, I'm not a big blues fan per se. I've seen Buddy a couple of times, and it's amazing. I think he's. I maybe read that he was looking to retire or definitely slow down. He is 87 years old, and he looks amazing. I did see some stuff recently where he played amazing, like he was 40 years old or something almost. Maybe not in his movements, but the playing was really solid and great. So yeah, I'm happy he's still around. I love when these guys can kind of stick around and kind of the more they disappear, the more we lose that context. I mean, you have the recorded and now lots of video and lots of things to watch and all of that, but it's another thing to experience a player live, I think, and I think most of us would agree with that. And that's the fun part when those risks are kind of being taken by the player or the band or whatever. Next is Periphery, another band that I don't know much about. I mean, I've watched like playthroughs and all of that, but it's not really a band I've been drawn to as far as doing even videos. So I think they're great players and a band that's growing and super technical stuff. I love it. Steve Lacy is the next guy, and it says here he plays with Kendrick Lamar, Thundercat, Vampire Weekend. Don't know him, but love Thundercat for sure. Kendrick Lamar as well. Another one I just see here, which is really cool to see, is Vernon Reid, one of my favorite players. And, he had his heyday as far as the media or as far as record sales and all of that a long time ago. But his solo records, Mistaken Identity, there's the Yohimbi Brothers, and there's a couple others that I am not remembering that came out kind of in the same kind of like, one every year or one every other year or something. Some of his best playing on those. And I always love seeing him play. I've happened to see him play quite a few times, and never with Living Color, oddly. But I definitely love his playing, and truly inspirational, and seems like a really sweet guy. So I'm glad he's here. I'm glad they're back. That's probably what this is about. It seems like Living Color was maybe doing a reunion tour or something, or touring again. So that's great to see. Joe Bonamassa. I love Joe. I wouldn't even mind seeing him play. He's kind of rings all the bells for me. Not as a listener, but I'd love to see him live. I love the blues rock approach. He's got great technique, incredible tone. I think he's, a good singer, and he writes good songs. I mean, I forget this record he did with Glenn Hughes. I think they've done a couple and may even do another. I like that band a lot because I just think Glenn Hughes is a great singer. And not to take away from Joe, but I like that kind of, the combination of them both was really great. Next we have Tom DeLonge. Lange? How do you say his last name? He's the dude from Blink 182, and he's probably a great songwriter, and I'm happy he's had a lot of success. Other than that, I don't know. John Osborne, no idea who that is. I don't even know. I just quickly skimmed this. It's from a band called the Brothers Osborne, and they're kind of like a blues, rock, country, bluegrass thing. Don't know about it, so that might be kind of fun to check out. Next is Sinister Gates. So Avenged Sevenfold is not a band I listen to. I've always seemed, respected them, and whenever I saw them do like playthroughs, I was like, those guys got chops and are killer players, and they're super popular and play in front of a lot of people, and they're doing guitar solos and like sweep stuff and all of those kind of things that I don't necessarily want to do as a player, but I just love that when anyone's kind of extending the guitar and making it more than a prop and really put their time in to make, good music and be a great guitar player technically and hopefully soulfully as well. I'm totally into it. So don't know shit about them, but I respect his playing from what little I have seen. Next is Graham Coxon. I think that's how you pronounce it. Don't know who that is. Um, yeah, don't know. It might be a pop guy. Next is Josh Homme, and then Troy Van Leeuwen. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Wasn't he the dude in Perfect Circle? Was he in that band? I don't know. Uh, yeah, I dig those guys. Josh, again, Queens of the Stone Age, a couple songs pretty cool. I like how heavy it is, how, I wouldn't say it's doom or anything like that, but I like the approach to that kind of, what do you call it, desert rock kind of thing that they're a huge part of, or at least Josh is, or Queens of the Stone Age. So I do like that kind of groove, but really kind of, I don't know, what's the word? Not muddy, but it's just really cool guitar tones, but not in a super metal way or whatever. They're a little more organic in a certain way. So, yeah, they're decent players. I wouldn't necessarily give a shit about their guitar playing as like from my perspective, like solo wise and all of that. I don't hear them doing that or really making super intricate even picking stuff or something. There's not much there for me as far as what I do for this channel or as a player. As a songwriter, I'd have to check it out more to know. But what I have heard, I liked quite a bit of the songs. So, I kind of see it as a different thing. Like the guitars are a utilitarian thing for the songwriting. They're not necessarily peaking out as like, amazing guitar stuff. I could be wrong. Like I said, I haven't heard enough to know, but that was my general opinion. And until I know different, I'll stick with that. Let's see. That is it. So that is the guitar players of note from 2023. Lots of old guys, lots of new guys, lots of stuff I didn't know. Um, that's the fun part. So hopefully, next year we do another one, or they'll probably do one, this month or something, or halfway through the year, since it's such a fun thing to do with lists. Thanks to Rolling Stone making such of kind of an abomination of a list, so that kind of helped kind of propel these things to the forefront, and specifically for me, because when I did that original Rolling Stones video, I don't think I saw anyone saying anything negatively about it. I just said, "Oh, Rolling Stone did a list." Have I? I think I've read the Rolling Stone like 3 times, and that was when someone died. There are bits for Frank Zappa, Miles Davis, and maybe Prince. There's otherwise I wouldn't give that 1 second of time. So when they said they were going to do a list of 250 players, that's a huge list, and I totally knew I wouldn't agree with you know most of it, but I wouldn't think it, from my perspective, would be so egregious as far as like missing so many players. Like 250 players is a lot, and who they left out, we are not all. It's not like a unanimous like you left this person out. Although there was a lot of mention of Gary Moore, or it was more of like where they were in the list. Like as far as the number and all of that. And they did leave quite a few people out, and there were some things that I totally agreed with, but I would say that was like 2% of the Rolling Stone article. So this one I probably agree with more, but this is not like saying the top 250. This is saying like who obviously had or who left an indelible mark in 2023 as far as guitar playing, like Vernon Reid, Zakk Wylde, Wolfgang Van Halen, and of course the one I totally 100% agree with would be Nuno Bettencourt, because he did make a huge splash, and people were talking about guitar like they hadn't talked about guitar in a while. So that again is well worth it for me, and deserved, and definitely makes sense. So anyway, I'm Brian. Thanks for checking this out. I appreciate it, and I'll see you soon. Bye.